Once upon a time, a distant memory. It's like synergy. Life the hardest teacher y'all could ever get the master. Get a test first, then y'all get that lesson after. Steve's never stressing them G's to freeze egos. Please, I just get them in threes, like the Migos.
What's going on, everybody? I'd like to welcome y'all back to the Diagnosed Success Podcast. I'm your host, K Sparks. It's a blessing to be a blessing. We are blessed and highly favored. Appreciate y'all tuning in each and every single week. And as always, we're going to get into the word of the day. Something motivational, inspirational, get you through your day, your week, your life. It says switch up your environment because sometimes you got to see more to do more. I love that word of the day because at the end of the day, it's true. A lot of times, like Common had this saying that I love. He says sometimes people let the block the mind. So sometimes you grow up in certain environments around certain type of people and you tend to get stagnant because that's all you're exposed to. But I can speak from personal experience as I began to travel a lot, go different places around the world, meet different people, experience different cultures. My level of exposure changed my way of thinking. So being someone who grew up in Southside Jamaica, Queens, but then going all these places, whether it's Paris, whether it's Italy, whether it's all these different places and you just experience different cultures, different people, you start to change your view, right? So I always say a lot of times, switch up your environment because you got to see more to be more. Once you get exposed to certain things, your thinking changes. Your whole perspective of the possibilities become even more because you're not limited, right? So at the end of the day, that is the word of the day. And we're going to get into a dope topic today, and it's called Ageism in Hip-Hop. All right, I want to talk about ageism in hip-hop. And this was a topic that a couple people had brought up over time. And I think it's a good time to talk about it now, especially given what's going on with the culture, hip-hop, a lot of things that have transpired within hip-hop. So we're going to get into it. I made a couple of notes. And, the first thing I want to talk about is culturally, how hip-hop started, right? I think it was an art form that was a representation of the culture, and the culture representing the people. So when we talk about culture, urban culture, people growing up in the inner cities who really didn't have much, so hip-hop afforded them the opportunity to have a voice. And a lot of times, music is a voice to the voiceless. Whether you're talking about anything, if you're talking about violence in your community, whether you're talking about trying to mobilize and do positive things within your community, whether you're talking about police brutality, music is often a voice to the voiceless. So hip hop was cultivated in the ghetto. Let's talk about it, right? From an urban standpoint, we all know that jazz is the mother of hip hop. So I'm not going to go as far back as that. I'm going to just bring it to where we found it within our communities, right? In the ghetto, urban culture, talking about things that are real to us. And when you talk about things that are real to you, there is no age on that. Ultimately, hip hop is expressive and it affords anybody the opportunity to speak their piece, whether you're a young person, whether you're a middle-aged person or older person. And the reality is that everybody has a story to tell. So how did we get in this space and place where there's ageism on hip hop? Because when you look at other cultures, whether it be rock and roll music, whether it be country music, it could be Garth Brooks, it could be Metallica, it could be Elton John. These people, as they navigated and made music, no matter how old they got, age wasn't a factor for them. They could still sell out arenas, sell out stadiums, and people love them nonetheless. But I find with hip hop culture a lot of times that they put this age limit. They say, oh man, he's washed up. She's washed up. But the reality is that so many pioneers and so many talented people in hip hop continue to make great music. Let's take Nas, for example. I know we did the podcast about Nas and Jim Jones, but just at face value, Nas put out King's Disease 1, 2, and 3 within a short span of time, and all of those albums were phenomenal. And he continues to put out great music at his age. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's around 50 or whatever. And he hasn't skipped a beat. The production is awesome, the lyricism, the cadence, the wordplay, the storytelling, everything is at the pinnacle where it should be for him. And he's 50 years old. So when you look at someone like him or someone like Jay-Z, someone like Eminem, these guys are rapping their ass off. Like lyrically, they on point. So once again, where does the ageism come in? First of all, a lot of that bullshit stems from the music industry. So when you talk about the music industry, we're talking about the music business. And anytime we're talking about business, we're talking about a transaction of money. And these labels, they want to make sure that they keep the money flowing. I remember when I was young and when I first got like my first record deals, like back in the day, you get an A&R that's assigned to you, and A&Rs sit down, they listen to your music, they say yay or nay what they think will work for your project. But then in addition to that, right, the people up at the label, they break down to you what they feel would be the best and most efficient way to market you, because you are a brand. The artist is a brand. So when we look at Nas, he is a brand. We look at Jay-Z, he is a brand. Eminem is a brand. Whatever, Cardi B is a brand, and they want to market you. So back then, what they would tell you is, hey, well, we're not going to put your real age out there. We're going to put a fake age, because being young is cool, right? And if you're older, then people will view you kind of with a different lens. Let's just say a negative lens, for lack of better words, which we know is bullshit. I want to make this very clear. There's nothing wrong with being your age. There's nothing wrong with being your age. There's nothing wrong with being mature. There's nothing wrong with getting older. As long as you are walking in your truth, you're making wise decisions, your age really doesn't matter. But in the music industry, especially hip hop and R&B, the record industries want to push the youth. So you fall into this trap where if you're not careful, you could get caught up in that bullshit. And I'm here to tell you, like, there's nothing wrong with aging. There's nothing wrong with maturing and making mature music at the same time, right? Like, I think that was, people don't really talk about this, but I think that was one of the points of contention between the Jim Jones and Nas thing, because, even though people at face value is like, yo, Jim Jones is crazy, he can't even touch Nas. You had two people, right? Nas is 50, Jim Jones is 48, which is crazy. This guy, Nas is only 2 years older than him, but he was making it seem like he's so much different than Nas. But really, you guys are around the same age, number one. And number two, Jim Jones makes YN music, right? Like, he doesn't make music that's a reflection of his age demographic, right? Like, it's music that you would expect from like 21-year-olds. And this ain't no shade to homie. This is just real talk. His music, it doesn't give off a sense of growth or maturity. So when you look at that, I think like even within that exchange between him going at Nas or whatever, the public really came for him. And I think a large part of that was people want to grow the fuck up. And I think it was like low-key like offensive when people even heard it. Like, yo, how can you even touch Nas? This man is rapping about political things. He's rapping about community, still rapping about the streets too, but he does it in a way from a mature older man's perspective who now has kids, he has businesses, and we can relate to this as we get older and we navigate. The shit that I used to think was cool when I was 21, now as a grown adult, I'm like, that ain't it. And I think that dope musicians and dope artists do that for you. They help you grow. And that's important. Like, regardless of what you do in life, and this is another word of the day, if you ain't growing, you dying. And that can be scaled across every dynamic of your life, whether that be your business, whether that be your relationship, whether that be with family, friends, whether it be with your 9 to 5, you have to have growth. And as people, as we get older, that's the beautiful thing about growing older. As long as you're not an old fool, you can teach the youth. You can drop gems to them like, yo, check this out, B. When I was your age, I did this and I fucked up. But if I would have did this instead, I would have been able to be at this juncture at my life, at this particular stage. So I think getting older is a beautiful thing. And it shouldn't be this ageism on hip hop. Like, that shit is so whack. We need to get away from that. I saw something recently where KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, and Kool G Rap announced that they were possibly putting together a hip hop supergroup. And I saw the disparity between the comments. Like, a lot of people were hyped for it. They're like, yo, we love that. We want to hear that. We want to see that. And on the flip side, a lot of people was talking negative. Like, oh, y'all is washed up. Y'all trash. Y'all time has passed. Why is that? Why is it like that in hip hop culture? Why is it like that in black culture where we got to tear each other down? Because you damn if you do and you damn if you don't. Everybody say, yo, man, we tired of hearing this ratchet YN stuff. We want to hear something. So you got 4 legendary MCs that want to give it a shot, give it a go. You put some solid production behind them, whether you got some Primo beats, some Ninth Wonder beats, whoever. Maybe even experiment with a Timberland beat, a Neptune beat, whatever it is, right? But y'all just want to disregard them because of their age. The shit is corny, man. You know, and we got to start elevating as a people. We got to establish and realize the value in maturing. There's nothing wrong with getting older. There's nothing wrong with getting older. As long as you're getting wiser, smarter, better, it's all good. So I think this is a good topic. Shout out to everybody that brought it to the forefront. And I want to know what y'all think. How do y'all feel about ageism in hip-hop? Why is it that hip-hop culture, black culture, R&B culture, we put these stigmas and these parameters on artists? Meanwhile, country music, rock music, these guys can be 60, 70 years old and people wouldn't care. Something to think about, right? So, you know, like, subscribe, comment below what y'all think, man. Ageism in hip-hop. Until next time, peace.